Revealed. The incredible journey of a boy without family who created a life-changing Rolex at 12. In a crumbling apartment block, a 12-year-old boy named Jamie stood alone, surrounded by shadows that echoed the laughter of a family now lost. Just weeks before, his life shattered like glass when a car accident took his parents away, leaving him to fend for himself in a neighborhood that had witnessed the American dream collapse. Yet Jamie was no ordinary boy. With a heart aflame with hope, he sifted through the debris of discarded gadgets and rusty metal. He envisioned crafting a watch that would not only transform his own life but lift the spirits of everyone around him. Every morning, as he circled the rubble-strewn streets, he collected broken timepieces and scrap metal, determination gleaming in his eyes. The hard-working veterans at the local diner were his inspiration. Their stories of perseverance filled his heart, making him believe he too could make something out of nothing. He envisioned a luxury watch, beautiful and functional, a beacon of hope reflecting the grit he knew within. Yet society weighed heavily on his small shoulders. The disdainful glances of passers-by, their whispers drowned in prejudice, threatened to snuff out his dreams. Still, every failed prototype only fueled his ambition further. With each tick of time in the silence of his apartment, he poured his heart into crafting pieces that slowly morphed into a stunning creation, one that resembled a Rolex, complete with ornate details and shining brass. It radiated something special, a vibrant dream forged from loss. Words spread in whispers and murmurings about this boy and his watch. It caught the attention of a wealthy businessman who thrived amidst the privilege and prosperity Jamie could only dream about. One fateful day, as Jamie polished his creation, the businessman arrived, cloaked in charm yet dripping with greed. His offer, a vast sum of money for Jamie's invention, tempted the boy deeply. Yet, as Jamie listened, the words stuck in his throat like a bitter pill. He had poured his heart into this watch, fueled by dreams not just for himself but for his community. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Jamie processed the businessman's proposal, the weight of his community bore down on him. Would accepting the offer mean abandoning the very values that had led him to this moment? Jamie looked around at the people who supported him, their laughter mingling with the scent of freshly brewed coffee from the diner. Could he betray their hopes for quick glory? With every heartbeat, Jamie felt a spark reignite within. The answer lay not in riches but in the community that had nurtured him. Determined, Jamie resolved to turn the tide. He stepped forward, heart racing, ready to face the businessman, the crowd observing with bated breath. Little did he know, his choice would not only redefine his destiny but inspire his neighborhood, awakening pride in a place long overshadowed by despair. With the fate of his dreams and those of his neighbors hanging in the balance, Jamie's journey was just beginning. Would he embrace the values he cherished and ignite a revolution of hope? Or would he take the bait of greed, risking everything for success? Jamie's breath hitched in his throat as he faced the businessman. The man's smile was slick, but Jamie couldn't shake the feeling that something dark lurked behind it. In that moment, he wasn't just standing there with a watch. He was carrying the hopes of every weary soul in his neighborhood. The crowd of bystanders murmured, some leaning in closer, while others exchanged skeptical glances. Old Mr. Thompson, a retired teacher who had always believed in Jamie, stood at the front, his weathered hands clasped. Jamie could feel every eye on him, each gaze filled with expectation. This was more than a moment for him. This was about making a choice that could ripple through the lives of others. What's it going to be, kid? The businessman urged, his voice smooth like honey. You don't want to waste that talent on these streets. I can offer you a whole new life. But what kind of life came from a quick sale? As Jamie looked around at the faces of his neighbors, the laughter of the diner ringing like a distant bell, he recalled the stories they had shared with him. Stories filled with struggles and small victories, of families coming together to lift each other up. Accepting the offer would mean handing over his creation, his heartbeat, something so much bigger than just a watch. No, Jamie said firmly, the word raw and defiant as it erupted from his chest. I want to sell it. I want this watch to inspire my community. I want it to mean something. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Immediate shock and then a swell of pride. He could see it in Mr. Thompson's eyes, the gleam of hope igniting after so long. Jamie felt himself growing steadier, buoyed by their energy. He didn't need wealth. He needed to do what was right. It's just a piece of metal, kid. The businessman scoffed, his charming facade cracking. You'll regret this. A laugh bubbled up from the gathered crowd. A few clapped softly, then louder as if a spark had ignited a flame. Jamie felt vibrant and alive. Each heartbeat echoed in the applause. He had made a choice not only for himself but for the entire community. Let us create something amazing together, Jamie shouted, his voice rising above the noise. Let us build a brand that stands for hope and resilience. The energy shifted in the air, and the crowd erupted into cheers. Jamie had no idea how he would manage it, how he would navigate this path, but he felt more alive than ever. Small ideas flashed through his mind. Workshops, community projects, even rallies that could help transform the neighborhood. His dream was no longer just his. It belonged to everyone who had ever battled through tough times. The businessman, now red with anger, stormed off, muttering curses under his breath. But Jamie stood tall, adrenaline coursing through him. His heart fluttered, a symphony of hope and dreams playing a thrilling melody inside as the applause faded. Jamie felt a new weight on his shoulders. His resolve was firm, but the journey that lay ahead was unclear. How would he fund his ideas? Where would he find the support he needed? Yet in that moment, surrounded by the love of the people who had welcomed him, confidence seeped into his very bones. What started as a dream to lift himself had transformed into a mission for everyone around him. Now he was committed to breathing life back into the heart of his community. But the road ahead was foggy, with challenges lurking just out of sight. Jamie knew that as soon as one door opened, another would inevitably close. He could almost feel the wind of change at his back, propelling him forward. Then came the question that would ignite a chain reaction: who would help him turn this vision into reality? The crowd began to disperse, leaving Jamie standing at the crossroads of his future, with his heart racing and determination intensifying. But as he turned to walk back home, a figure emerged in the shadows, a familiar face he thought he'd never see again. With an enigmatic smile, they whispered, "I can help, but it'll cost you more than just a watch." Jamie squinted into the dim light as he stepped closer, unsure of whether he was dreaming or if this was real. The figure leaned against the brick wall, a silhouette carved from the past he thought he had buried deep. It was Sarah, an old friend from the neighborhood who had left years ago for a bigger city, chasing dreams of her own. "Sarah?" he whispered, caught off guard by the wave of memories that flooded back. They had shared countless afternoons tinkering with gadgets and talking about their futures, their laughter echoing in the quiet alleys of their childhood. "Hey, Jamie," she replied softly, her voice a mix of excitement and caution. "I heard what happened. Word travels fast. You stood up to that guy like a champ." He felt an unfamiliar mix of warmth and uncertainty. "Why are you here? I never thought I'd see you again." "Not after you moved." "I've been back for a bit now," she admitted, her eyes sparkling with a hint of mischief. "And I came to see if you were still the kid who wanted to change the world with a broken-down clock and a dream." The weight of those words settled on his shoulders. For a moment, he stood frozen, the reality of Sarah's presence pulling him in different directions. "I'm trying," he finally said, glancing back toward the dispersing crowd, the cheers still lingering in the air. "But I don't know how to make this work. Funding, support, I can't do it alone." Sarah pushed herself off the wall and took a step closer, her tone shifting to something more serious. "I can help you, Jamie. I've got connections now, people who will listen." But she paused, studying his expression. "You'll need to open up. You need to show them just how passionate you are about your vision." He nodded, uncertainty gnawing at him. What's the cost? He asked, fearing what she might ask of him. This wasn't just a matter of pride. This was everything he had just proclaimed to the crowd. If he was going to ask for help, it had to be worth giving up something in return. Let me worry about the costs, she replied, a hint of mischief dancing in her eyes again. But it will take time and trust, Jamie. You'll have to let people in, let them see the real you behind the hero you just became. Her statement made his heart race. He had fought so hard to protect himself, to carry the weight of his dreams without anyone else's burden on his shoulders. The idea of vulnerability felt terrifying. Trust, he echoed, the word heavy on his tongue. I've never been good at that. Not with the right people, Sarah corrected gently. Look at the crowd today. They believe in you just as you believe in them. Jamie looked away, processing her words. The past flickered in his mind, old wounds whispering of loss and betrayal. But there was something undeniable about the hope in that crowd, the claps and cheers still echoing in his heart. What do I have to lose? He asked, feeling the pulse of determination rise within him again. Each moment spent dwelling in silence was a moment he couldn't reclaim. Just your fear, Sarah said, her smile radiant. And maybe a little pride along the way. He took a deep breath, feeling the stirrings of a new chapter opening before him. Okay, he said finally. Let us do this. Let us build something together. Sarah's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. Awesome. Let us start by planning a community event to share your story and gather more support. We can make this happen, Jamie. As they walked down the street, plotting out every detail, Jamie felt more alive than he had in a long time. For the first time, hope wasn't just an abstract idea. It was becoming tangible, right within reach. But just as excitement bubbled between them, a dark cloud flitted across Jamie's mind. The businessman's scoff rang in his ears. Could they really create something bigger than what others wanted to smother? His heart raced as he thought of the risks ahead. Bumps in the road were inevitable. Would the moment of truth bring the support he needed or expose him to the very danger he tried to escape? Are you ready for what's coming? Sarah asked, catching the flicker of doubt on his face. I guess we'll find out, he replied, the thrill of uncertainty intermingling with his rising ambition. But one question loomed heavy. Would the choices they made lead them to triumph or despair? Jamie couldn't shake off the restlessness as they tossed ideas back and forth. The streetlights flickered above, casting playful shadows that danced across their faces. He felt a weight beginning to lift, but uncertainty still hung heavily in the air, a storm of what-ifs swirling in his mind. Let us start with a local gathering. Something simple, Sarah said, excitement brimming in her voice. We can invite families, share stories, and get people to talk about innovation and support. Do you really think they'll be interested? He asked, fidgeting with the hem of his jacket. I mean, after everything that's happened, what if they don't show? She laughed softly, nudging his shoulder. They will, Jamie. People want to believe in something, especially after watching you stand up today. You've sparked that interest already. Still, Jamie's stomach tightened at the thought of inviting people to witness his journey. He remembered the last time he had revealed his ideas, how they had been dismissed. The sting of embarrassment still echoed in his memory. I'm not like you, Sarah, he said, his voice wavering. You're naturally charismatic and outgoing. What if I bomb it? Hey, it's not about being perfect. It's about being real. She reassured him, her gaze steady. You've got so much passion. Just share that and people will connect with you. Trust begins with being honest about where you are right now. He took a deep breath. Letting his guard down felt daunting. But as he glanced over at Sarah, the determination in her eyes seemed to ignite something within him. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about the vision they could bring to life together. All right, let us do it. I'll share my story, he said, the words tasting bittersweet in his mouth. I guess this is step one, isn't it? Yeah. Sarah exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. Step one leads to many more. We'll create a ripple effect. Who knows where it'll take us? Maybe we can even get local businesses on board. We could showcase how community support can uplift everyone. A spark of excitement ignited in him at the thought. working with Sarah, developing events to support the community. It felt like building a bridge over the shadows of his past. But deep down, the fear of failure still loomed ominously. What if I can't pull it off? What if they see me as just a kid? Jamie admitted, frustration seeping into his voice. What if I'm not enough? Then you'll learn, she said firmly, her eyes locking onto his. Everyone starts somewhere. Those who matter will see the potential in you. Remember, your story isn't just about you. It's about everyone who believes and supports it. In that moment, something in Jamie shifted. Her words sank into him, turning doubt into fuel. The vision of a community gathering flashed in his mind, filled with people coming together, hopes entwined, dreams shared. His pulse quickened and he smiled. You're right. I won't let fear hold me back. Exactly. Let us set a date and make a plan, Sarah said, her excitement palpable. As they began brainstorming, the energy between them grew, ideas flowing freely like a rushing river. Jamie could almost see the smiles, the conversations, the magic that could unfold if they pushed through the fear together. But as they walked back to the neighborhood, plotting dates and themes, Jamie couldn't shake the gnawing feeling in his gut. What if the past came back to haunt him? Would there be those who would seek to sabotage their efforts? Are you thinking about him? Sarah asked quietly, noticing the shift in his demeanor. Yeah, he admitted, the weight of his thoughts crushing him again. What if he hears about the event? What if he tries to take this away from me again? Sarah turned to him, her expression serious. Jamie, you have to remember that the old narrative doesn't define you. Choices made in the past don't dictate what you can create now. What if everything goes better than you expect? A tentative smile tugged at his lips. What if? Exactly, she said with a wink. What if? As they turned the corner, the reality of the journey ahead began to crystallize in Jamie's mind. The support, the fear, the hope, it all felt like a vast ocean he was ready to dive into. But would he sink or swim when it truly mattered? In that moment of uncertainty, he realized, above all else, he would need to tread carefully. And as Sarah's laughter echoed into the night, he wondered how far their leap of faith would take them. Tomorrow we make a plan, he said, stepping forward with a newfound determination. But first, we'll need a stronger supporter. Do you think your friends will help spread the word? Sarah smiled, a glint of mischief shining in her eyes. I have a few ideas up my sleeve. Just wait and see. We're going to make this unforgettable. And as they stepped forward into the future, Jamie wondered, what else was waiting for them just around the bend? The next morning, Jamie woke up with a mix of excitement and dread swirling in his chest. The sunlight streamed through his window, casting warm patches against the walls. But the brightness didn't melt away the gnawing anxiety. Today was the day they would put their ideas into action. He could hear the faint sounds of his neighborhood waking up, birds chirping, cars rumbling, life continuing all around him. He grabbed a quick breakfast, but his mind was elsewhere, racing through thoughts of how he would share his story at the gathering. What would he say? Would he be able to capture their attention? Slow breaths, Jamie. Just be yourself. As he headed out to meet Sarah, he spotted her waiting on the corner, her ponytail bouncing as she waved enthusiastically. Ready for a big day? She called out, her infectious energy lifting his spirits a little. Ready as I'll ever be, he said, offering a half-hearted grin. Come on. We've got so much to do, she exclaimed, grabbing his wrist and tugging him along. They made their way to her favorite cafe, an inviting little place that smelled of fresh coffee and baked pastries. Sitting at a small table outside, they began outlining their plan for the gathering. They nabbed a couple of notebooks and went to work, jotting down ideas for activities, talking points, and what food they could offer. Sarah suggested inviting local artists to showcase their work, and Jamie found himself getting excited about the possibilities. The thought of having people come together to celebrate creativity felt refreshing. Imagine the smiles, he said, as he sketched a rough outline of what the day could look like. Games for the kids, storytelling sessions, it'll be like one big family reunion. Sarah nodded eagerly. Exactly. And think about adding a notepad where people can write their thoughts and ideas. We want to encourage everyone to share. Community input is key. As their ideas blossomed, Jamie felt a sense of purpose igniting in him. They were creating something meaningful, something more than just an event. It was a chance to weave a tapestry of connections among neighbors, something that could fortify rather than isolate. But then, amid all the excitement, his thoughts drifted back to the weight he had felt yesterday. What if the old fears resurfaced? What if that he came to disrupt everything they built? "Hey, you're zoning out again," Sarah said, nudging him gently. "What's the matter? I just can't help but feel like something might go wrong. What if people don't come? Or worse, what if someone tries to sabotage it?" The words spilled out before he could stop himself, and he felt raw vulnerability creep in. Sarah leaned in, her expression softening. "Listen, I get it. The past can cast a shadow, but this is our moment to step into the light. Every story has its struggles, including mine. Just yesterday there were doubts in my head too, like who would take us seriously. But the only way to chase away that doubt is to take that leap together." As she spoke, Jamie felt that familiar spark of hope igniting within him again. He wanted to believe her. They were in this together, and together they would face whatever challenges came their way, doubt, fear, or anything else. "Okay," he said, taking a deep breath. "Let us do this. I'll invite a few people from the neighborhood, and you, who will you call?" Sarah grinned, her eyes lighting up. "I have friends from school who are amazing at putting together events. They'll totally help. We need musicians. Someone to actually entertain people. This is going to be magical." Before long, they were weaving plans into reality, reaching out to friends, drafting flyers, and buzzing with excitement about what the day would hold. As they packed up their things and headed back to the neighborhood, Jamie felt a sense of belonging he had long yearned for, finding his place among a community. But even as hope surged within him, a nagging thought remained. What would happen when they finally got to the heart of their gathering, when the spotlight was on him amidst the crowd? Would he rise to the occasion, or would the past hunt him down in that moment? As dusk approached, Jamie cut through the evening air, his heart racing with both anticipation and fear. Would he really be able to create a space where they'd all feel connected? Where he could finally feel free? "Tomorrow, it all starts," he whispered to himself, determination setting like stone. But just as Sarah turned to him with a fresh burst of excitement, a shadow crossed over Jamie's resolve, making him question, once more, what truly lurked in his future. The sun crested over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange. Jamie sat on the edge of his bed, feeling the weight of the day ahead. Today was not just another gathering. It was a turning point. Every tick of his clock reminded him that time was fleeting, and they had only hours to pull everything together. He jumped into action, moving around his room like a whirlwind. He dressed quickly, the soft cotton of his shirt brushing against his arms, grounding him in the moment. After a hasty breakfast, 2 bites of toast, and a gulp of orange juice, he grabbed his phone and slipped it into his pocket. He was ready to take on the world, or at least, his small slice of it. As he walked down the street to meet Sarah, there was an electric buzz in the air. Neighborhood kids played hopscotch on the sidewalk, laughter mingling with the sounds of clanging pots from nearby kitchens. It reminded him of what they were trying to achieve. A space where joy could bloom freely, a place he had always wanted to belong to. When he arrived at the cafe, he spotted Sarah bouncing on her toes, brimming with excitement. "There you are. I've been thinking about the setup. We need signs, we need tables, and what about a gathering spot for musicians? They'll need a space too." "Whoa there," Jamie said, chuckling a bit at her enthusiasm. "Let us start with one thing at a time. I thought we would meet people first, maybe see who else can help." "Good idea." Her eyes twinkled. "But I'm gonna text my friends because we need some visual arts to make it lively. Think balloons, banners. We'll draw people in." As they chatted, Jamie felt that familiar blend of anticipation and worry creep back into his head. Yes, they were building something beautiful, but with each moment that passed, the stakes felt higher. What if it all collapsed? What if all their efforts were in vain, and the people didn't show up? Or worse, what if someone decided to ruin everything? Shifting his weight from one foot to the other, Jamie paused. What if he started hesitantly, his voice barely rising above the clatter of coffee cups? What if someone thinks it's a joke, or worse, tries to put us down? Sarah's expression softened again. Jamie, listen. If we worry about what others think, we'll never take the leap. We're here to create joy, and for every naysayer, there are 10 others ready to support us. Just look at our online community. People want this. He didn't respond, but her words lodged themselves in his heart. After a moment, he nodded. He had to shake off the fear. This was bigger than him. They were too far into it now. I'll call my college buddy, Eric, Jamie said, feeling his voice strengthen. He has a massive outdoor sound system, and if we can set that up, yes, that's the spirit. Sarah encouraged with a smile. And I'll get my crew to help with decorations. We want people to feel welcome, inspired to join in. They spent the next hour making calls and brainstorming. Jamie's phone buzzed repeatedly with confirmations and ideas. Each beep sent a rush of adrenaline through him. Could this actually work? When they finally gathered their materials and set foot outside, there was a sense of urgency in the air. Jamie's heartbeat synced with the bustling street around him, and for the first time since they started, he felt a flicker of possibility. Maybe he could be that person who inspired others, despite the shadows of doubt looming behind him as they walked toward the park where everything would unfold. Jamie felt hopeful. The sunlight ignited his skin, and it felt like a blessing, an assurance that they were on the right path. But just then, a figure stepped from the shadows, leaning against the park gate. Jamie's throat tightened, involuntarily. It was his old neighbor, Jack, an unpredictably familiar face that brought back memories he would rather forget. Jack's smirk held too many secrets, and in that moment, all of Jamie's newfound courage flickered like a blown candle. Surprise! What's this gathering about? Jack called out, stepping closer, invading the safety of their plans. Jamie's mind raced. Would this turn into a day of triumph, or would it unravel in front of him? Would Jack allow it to be a celebration, or would he aim to ruin it? His heart thudded heavily in his chest, and fear gripped him. Moments away from launching something incredible, he stood at the edge of the unknown yet again. What would he do next? Jamie swallowed hard, weighing his options. Jack was trouble, plain and simple. It felt like stepping back into a nightmare he didn't want to revisit. What do you want, Jack? He tried to keep his voice steady, though it trembled slightly. Jack pushed off the gate, closing the distance between them with an air of mock confidence. Just came to see what my little neighbor's up to. Heard their essay party, and thought I'd check it out. He surveyed the colorful banners and the pile of supplies Sarah was pulling out of the car, a sneer creeping into his voice. Looks like you've got yourself a real event here. The way Jack said it sent a chill down Jamie's spine. There was contempt in his tone, the kind that could easily pierce the fragile bubble of hope that had just formed around them. Jamie felt Sarah tense beside him, uncertainty flooding her bright expression. Are you here to help or just to mock us? Jamie bluntly retorted, feeling a surge of defiance push against the knots of anxiety twisting in his stomach. Why would I help? Jack laughed, his eyes glinting dangerously. I'm just curious how you think this is going to go down. You honestly believe people will show up? Look around. No one cares about your little dream. For a second, Jamie's heart dropped. He glanced at Sarah, whose confident demeanor wavered just a touch. But he couldn't let Jack undermine their efforts. You're wrong. People want this, he said, trying to infuse his voice with the conviction he felt fading. Sure they do. Jack grinned, leaning back with exaggerated ease. But let us be real. How many will come out to watch you crash? You'll end up embarrassing yourself. That doesn't matter. Jamie's voice was firmer now. What matters is creating something good, building a community. Jack's smirk flickered for a mere moment. Fear, maybe? It was gone before Jamie could read it completely. Good luck with that, Jack shrugged, stepping back as if to leave. But then, in an unexpected twist, Jack turned back, fingers tapping his chin in that obnoxious way of his. If you really want a show, I could make it interesting. What does that mean? Jamie's breath quickened, wary of what was behind Jack's sudden interest. Let us just say, I have a way of stirring up a crowd. Jack's eyes danced with challenge. And I could spice things up if you're game. Jamie's pulse raced. Was this a trap? Or did Jack genuinely want to be involved? Memories of past incidents with Jack mapped a dangerous territory. And what would that cost? Jamie felt the walls closing in, unsure if he wanted to unleash whatever chaos Jack promised. Just something to think about. Jack shrugged with a smirk before walking away, leaving behind a blend of dread and curiosity that hung in the air like fog. Sarah looked at Jamie, eyes wide with uncertainty. What was that about? I don't know, Jamie admitted, running a hand through his hair. But I know he can't be trusted. For a moment, they stood in silence, the vibrant world around them fading into the background noise of their worries. The dream felt heavy and delicate, like a fragile glass sculpture that could shatter at any moment. Then, stealing a glance at Sarah, Jamie's determination flared up again. We can't let him ruin this, right? Sarah nodded, her face settling into a mask of resolve. We have to just focus on what we believe in. But deep inside Jamie's mind whispered the question that gnawed at him. If Jack decided to turn this against them, how could they truly keep their dream alive? As they set about preparing their gathering, a storm brewed in Jamie's heart, one he wasn't sure they were ready to face. What kind of chaos lay ahead? Would they be able to protect their vision? Or would Jack's shadows loom larger than ever? Jamie stared at the colorful banners flapping in the wind, each wave seeming to mock him with whispers of doubt. They were more than decorations. They were symbols of hope, of connection. But just as he stood ready to dive back into the preparations, the looming sense of dread Jack had instilled in him hung like a heavy fog. Let us just get the supplies set up, Sarah said, breaking the uneasy silence. Her voice was steady, but Jamie could sense the tension in her shoulders. We can't let him derail us. Yeah, right, he replied, forcing a nod. But uncertainty gnawed at him, like bees buzzing in his chest, reminding him of Jack's words. They worked in silence, unloading boxes filled with streamers, snacks, and flyers. Jamie's hands moved reflexively, but his mind was racing. Was it really just a simple gathering they were trying to put together? Or was it a beacon of hope being threatened by shadows from the past? Halfway through setting up, Jamie paused, glancing at Sarah, who was energetically arranging cupcakes on a picnic table. Do you think anyone will really come? He asked, the question slipping out before he could stop it. Of course. People need this, she replied, a hint of confusion flickering in her eyes. Plus, it's not just about the party. It's about getting everyone together. Building something, like you said. Yeah, but Jamie hesitated, looking away. He didn't want to dampen her spirits. What if Jack shows up with his friends? You know he'd do anything to make us look foolish. Sarah placed a cupcake down and turned to face him. You know what? Let him try. This is for us. We can't let his negativity ruin what we believe in. There was a fire in her voice, and Jamie felt a flicker of something warm inside. Determination. Right, he said, trying to reinstate the positivity. Let us make this happen. A few hours later, the sun was beginning to dip below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. The small park started to fill with laughter and chatter. Jamie watched as faces, some familiar, others new, began to appear, excitement flooding his senses. Momentarily, the weight that had been sitting like a boulder in his chest lifted slightly. Just then, as laughter erupted from a group of kids playing tag nearby, Jamie spotted Jack emerging from the trees. He was flanked by a few of his friends, his trademark grin plastered across his face. The moment felt frozen in time, Jamie's heart slamming against his ribcage as a mix of anxiety and anger surged within him. What do we do? Jamie whispered to Sarah, panic creeping back in as Jack's laughter carried over to them. Stick to the plan, she urged, steeling herself. But behind her brave face, he could see her unease. We show them that we're not afraid. As Jack approached, his swagger radiating confidence, Jamie felt the crowd's energy shift. Conversations dipped, the air electric with tension. Jack's presence was palpable, drawing eyes like moths to a flame. Still think you can put on a show? Jack taunted, voice dripping with mockery as he leaned against a tree, watching them. This wasn't just a party anymore. It was a test. The fight to maintain their dream felt larger than life, and its potential to shatter was at the forefront of Jamie's mind. As he looked around at the gathering crowd, he realized that it wasn't just about facing Jack. It was about standing firm for every person there who believed in the community they were building. "Let us prove him wrong," Jamie urged Sarah, adrenaline coursing through him. Together. But that thought lingered in an uncomfortable place. What would Jack do next? He had always played dirty, and Jamie had to wonder how deep Jack was willing to go as the atmosphere thickened with tension. Jamie braced himself for the storm that was brewing ahead. Would they emerge unscathed? Or would the chaos that Jack promised finally break them? The answer was drifting on the breeze, just out of reach. Jamie's pulse raced at Jack's mocking voice, each word striking him like a slap. He glanced around, meeting the apprehensive gazes of his friends. Laughter faded, replaced by palpable tension. This was not just a party. It was a battleground. "Everybody, please just enjoy yourselves," he called out, forcing a smile, trying to lift the heaviness in the air. He could feel Jack's eyes drilling into him, as if testing his resolve. But behind Jamie's smile, doubt churned. Would his friends see through the facade? Sarah stepped forward, arms crossed defiantly. "We're here to have fun, Jack. Not to let you ruin it." Jack smirked, unfazed. "Fun? Please. You think this sad little celebration is gonna change anything? It's just pathetic." A few heads turned at Jack's words, but Jamie fought to hold his ground. Could his determination to rally those around him hold up against Jack's poisonous charisma? They were on the verge of something beautiful, and he couldn't allow a bully to shatter that. Jack raised an eyebrow, eyes roaming across the festive decorations that hung overhead. "What are those even for? To hide how lonely you all are? Stop it," Jamie shouted, an unexpected surge of anger ripping through him. He stepped toward Jack, feeling the warm burn of adrenaline coursing through his veins. "You don't understand us. You don't know what we've built here." Jack laughed, a hollow sound that echoed around them. "Built? You think this is an achievement? You'll be forgotten by tomorrow." With each taunt, Jamie could feel the resilience of their gathering wavering. But he knew the truth. This party meant community, strength, hope. It was everything they stood for. He looked around at the people who had come to support each other, to connect. Then something unexpected happened. A voice piped up from the crowd. "Hey, who needs Jack? This is our time." It was a kid from school, small but filled with spirit. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, igniting a spark. "Yeah." Someone else shouted. "We're here to have a good time." Jack's face fell slightly, confusion flickering across his features. He wasn't used to being challenged. Not here, not now. Jamie felt a strength he hadn't known he possessed, rising with the electricity of the moment. Sarah took a step forward to stand beside him, determination etching her features. "You don't scare us, Jack. We're not afraid of you. This is about us, not you." A cheer rose from the crowd, a swell of defiance that filled the space around them. Jamie's heart surged with hope. This wasn't just an event anymore. It was a declaration of unity and resilience. Jack clenched his fists, the bravado faltering in the face of their collective spirit. "You think this little rally means anything? Just wait until tomorrow. I'll make sure everyone remembers this." With that, he turned, storming off with his friends, the tension lifting from the atmosphere as his presence faded into the trees. Jamie felt a wave of relief wash over him. They had stood together, defiant against the storm. The laughter and music returned, a renewed energy filling the park as conversations reignited. Smiles blossomed, and hope flourished once more. "See?" Sarah said, her eyes sparkling. "We can do this. We are stronger than you think." "Yeah," Jamie said, breathing deeply, feeling lighter than he had in hours. "And tomorrow, we keep building. We won't let anything stop us." But as the night wore on, Jamie couldn't shake the feeling of unease lingering in his gut. Jack was still out there, and Jamie knew he wouldn't give up easily. What would Jack's next move be? As laughter echoed around him, Jamie could only wonder how far Jack would go to tear them apart. Real unity didn't just come without a fight. And there it was, the gnawing question. Were they truly ready to face the battle ahead? Would this be the moment that would define everything they had worked for? The night glimmered alive with laughter and community. As Jamie looked around, the park buzzed with voices, a chorus of hope. Children chased each other in joyful abandon. Adults mingled with cups raised high, and the music sweetened the air. It felt like magic, a vivid tapestry woven from the threads of connection and resilience. They had faced Jack's hostility and emerged victorious. But the taste of that victory lingered bittersweet in Jamie's mind. "Hey, Jamie," Sarah called, pulling him from his thoughts. She waved him over, her smile radiant. "You need to see this." Jamie followed her to a small stage set beneath a twinkling string of lights, where musicians had begun to perform. Each strum of the guitar resonated with the heartbeat of the community, filling Jamie with an overwhelming sense of belonging. "This is just the beginning," Sarah beamed. "Look how many people showed up. They believe in you, in us." Jamie felt warmth surging inside him. The vision was unfolding. Together they made their way through the crowd, engaging with families, sharing stories, and basking in the newfound joy surrounding them. Here, people weren't just strangers. They were friends, allies stepping into the light together. Jamie's heart swelled with pride, a joy he hadn't felt since he lost his parents. But lurking behind the festive atmosphere was the shadow of uncertainty. Jamie couldn't fully shake the feeling that Jack would try to undermine their success. "We'll stay alert," Sarah assured him, reading the worry etched on his face. "Let us not focus on threats. We'll keep this uplifting." Hours passed in a beautiful blur of music, laughter, and community spirit. Finally, Jamie found himself standing in front of a small lectern, the crowd's energy pulsating around him like a living thing. "Can I have everyone's attention?" Jamie called, his voice steady despite the nerves fluttering in his stomach. A hush fell over the crowd, eyes turning toward him with encouraging smiles. "Thank you all for coming out tonight. It means more than you know. This gathering isn't just about a watch or a dream. It's about us carving out our place and building a life we can be proud of, together." His heart raced as he spoke, each word filling him with a greater sense of purpose. "Every one of you holds a piece of this dream, and together we can create something amazing. This community can become a beacon of hope." Applause erupted, the claps echoing against the night. Encouraged by their support, Jamie continued, "I want to turn this gathering into something bigger, a series of workshops, where we can share ideas, invest in our kids, and nurture creativity." The crowd cheered, the energy electrifying, and for the first time since the accident, Jamie felt a flicker of true hope for the future, a dream he could realize with their help. As he finished, he spotted Jack at the edge of the park, lingering and watching. But tonight he felt different. His posture was tense, frustration flickering behind his eyes. But as Jamie met his gaze, he felt a surge of conviction. Maybe Jack couldn't be the one to define their future any longer. As the community celebrated, Jamie noticed Jack retreating further into the shadows. Watching him disappear, Jamie realized something profound. Jack's power had crumbled, silhouetted against the chorus of support and belief radiating from those around him. In the following weeks, Jamie, with Sarah by his side, transformed the gathering into a community hub of creativity and connection. Workshops sprang up, where the neighborhood kids learned to tinker with gadgets, and artists shared their talents. Ideas flourished, and the park became alive every weekend, a vibrant canvas painted with joy. One evening, as Jamie looked over everything they had built together, he marveled at how far he had come. He watched the kids giggling, adults sharing stories, and laughter weaving through the air like soft music. A weight lifted from his heart. The darkness of loss hadn't consumed him. It had fueled his passion. Julie and Thomas, his parents, had once shared dreams of a life built on love and community. "Look at what we did," Jamie said to Sarah, feeling pride swelling in his chest. They stood together, side by side, entranced by the energy around them. Sarah smiled broadly. And this is just the beginning. You're a force to be reckoned with, Jamie. Don't ever forget that. He nodded, feeling the warmth of encouragement wrap around him like a cozy blanket. Even the shadows of his past no longer haunted him. With the support he had fostered, he gradually understood that challenges could be met head-on. As they watched the sunset paint the horizon, Jamie promised himself he would continue championing the community. They weren't merely people from the past. They were his family, forged in adversity and blossoming into something extraordinary. In that moment, surrounded by laughter, connection, and love, Jamie felt the hope and strength surge within him. Finally, he had found his place, his purpose, and he was ready for whatever came next. Now, I need you to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to stay updated on more stories, like this one that can inspire and lift your spirits. Leave a like now to keep the algorithm buzzing with positivity. Comment below your feelings and reactions to this amazing transformation. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this uplifting journey. Don't wait not even one more second, let's spread the hope together. Only true fans understand the importance of this support. So let us show up for one another.